A curfew in the city of Los Angeles is hours away from being lifted amid anti-ICE protests over the last several days. Now, the curfew went into effect last night. It is set to end at 6 a.m. Pacific time, which is 9 in the morning our time. It applies to a 1 square mile section of downtown LA. The LAPD says it began mass arrests when the curfew went into effect. LA Mayor Karen Bass says more than 23 businesses have been looted over the course of these protests. And over the last several days, President Donald Trump has deployed more than 4,000 National Guard members and 700 Marines. Typically, governors are the ones who deploy the National Guard. It is extremely rare for a president to do so when a governor has not requested it.
And you know, Renee, we know that at least 378 people have been arrested in the past 4 days in regard to the protests that have been happening in LA. Good morning, I'm Chris Levingood here in the WRAL Live Center. This video sort of illustrates what's been happening from overnight. At one point in the video, you'll see people down on the ground whereas officers are arresting them. And this has, again, been playing out over the course of the last few days. But LAPD has been very clear in talking about the warnings to people, letting them know what would happen if they did not comply with this curfew. I'm going to exit out of this video just to show you a post from the social media account for the LAPD saying multiple groups continue to congregate on First Street between Spring and Alameda. Those groups are being addressed and mass arrests are being initiated. Curfew is in effect, and that was sent around midnight. We'll continue to watch very closely to see how things develop in the coming hours here on the WRAL Live Center.
Well, for the 6th straight day now, we have National Guard troops stationed outside of the federal complex here in downtown Los Angeles. This comes after a night where we saw for the first time a curfew in a 1 mile square block area of this facility. And by all appearances, it seems to have worked. Yes, there were people out after the curfew. We saw multiple arrests. We saw a lot of arrests yesterday, more than 200 people overall arrested, and many of those after the curfew. But again, there was no violent protesting like we've seen over the last several nights. No looting, there were no cars set ablaze, and so to that point, it seems like the curfew served its purpose, and it will, we are told, continue. This is a day when we do expect for the first time to see those 700 Marines who were deployed to this region by the White House on the streets of Los Angeles. And last night, the governor of California, Gavin Newsom, talked a bit about that push.
He deployed more than 700 active U.S. Marines. These are the men and women trained for foreign combat, not domestic law enforcement. We honor their service. We honor their bravery. But we do not want our streets militarized by our own armed forces. Not in LA, not in California, not anywhere.
Along with those Marines, we expect to see more National Guard troops on the ground here today, a show of force that we are told could last as long as 60 days here. That's the latest from Los Angeles. I'm Jay Gray, NBC News.
Overnight, a new crackdown in Los Angeles. Authorities putting a curfew in place.
Law enforcement will arrest individuals who break the curfew, and you will be prosecuted.
This coming after a day of confrontations in a small area downtown. But after President Trump sent in the National Guard to LA with hundreds of Marines set to arrive shortly, overnight, California's Governor Gavin Newsom saying the military's presence has escalated the unrest, blaming Trump for what he called a brazen abuse of power.
This is about all of us. This is about you. California may be first, but it clearly will not end here. Other states are next. Democracy is next. Democracy is under assault before our eyes. This moment we have feared has arrived.
President Trump insisting the federal force is needed.
We will not allow an American city to be invaded and conquered by a foreign enemy.
Two sources familiar with the plans telling NBC News the Marines could be used to provide security and transportation for ICE personnel as the administration's deportation raids continue. Two sources say the Marines have been given cards laying out what they're allowed to do for the deployment. One source familiar with the planning said ICE agents are concerned that the Marines have not been properly trained for the scenarios ICE deals with, like encountering families with small children during operations. As demonstrators continue to protest ICE raids in LA, authorities swarming this federal building, issuing a dispersal order after crowds gathered confronting the National Guard and blocking traffic.
No ICE in LA!
Protesters also briefly getting onto one of LA's busiest freeways.
This is now the second time in 3 days that the highway has been shut down. This is Highway 101. You can see these patrol cars here stopping southbound traffic during rush hour.
Officers responding within minutes, arresting nearly 70 people. The immigration protests are also spreading to other cities. Crowds clashing with police on the streets of Chicago and at a march in Denver as the standoff in Los Angeles continues.